I'm sitting here on my porch just watching the rain hit the pavement. It's funny, you know, 20 years ago, this rain would have annoyed me. It would have meant traffic. It would have meant my suit getting wet. It would have been just another obstacle in a day where I was already running late. But now I just see water feeding the earth. It's peaceful, and it scares me a little bit. How long it took me to just sit here and actually see it. When I look back at my 30s and even my late 20s, I honestly wonder, what the hell was I doing? I was moving so fast, man. I was like a machine. I had this feeling, this arrogance really, that I was invincible. I thought I had all the time in the world to live later. I had this word tattooed on my brain, someday. Someday I'll take that trip. Someday I'll turn off my phone and actually listen to my wife. Someday I'll be happy. But right now, I have to grind. I have to hustle. It was always rush, rush, rush. I remember this one specific Tuesday. It's burned into my memory more than any boardroom meeting. My daughter was 7 years old, and she had this little school play. Nothing major, just a bunch of kids in cardboard costumes singing out of key. She had been practicing for weeks, singing in the shower, singing at breakfast. She made me promise I'd be there, and I meant to be. I really did. But then at 4 p.m., a crisis came up at work. Some client wasn't happy with a proposal that, looking back now, didn't matter in the grand scheme of things. But at that moment, it felt like life or death. I thought, I'm doing this for her. I'm working this hard so she can have a good life. So I stayed. I missed the play. I got home after she was asleep. I told myself it was a sacrifice. I told myself I was being a good provider. But here is the brutal truth that hit me when I finally slowed down. I wasn't providing what she actually needed. She didn't need the money from that client. She needed her dad to see her in her cardboard costume. That client left us 6 months later. I can't even remember his name now, but I remember the look on my wife's face when I walked in that night. And I remember the silence at the breakfast table the next morning. You can't buy that time back. There are no rewinds. We live in this illusion that life begins at some future destination. We think, once I get the big house, then I'll relax. Once I get the title, then I'll be secure. It's a trap. I spent years chasing things that were just petty. I was arguing with people over things that don't exist anymore. I was stressed about security systems and upgrading my car, thinking that was success. It wasn't success. It was just noise. And the scary part is, you don't realize the meter is running. You think the sand in the hourglass is infinite, but it's not. Every second I spent on that angry phone call with the client was a second I stole from my own happiness. And for what? To impress people I don't even like? If you are reading this and you are in that hustle mindset, thinking you are building a future, just stop for a second. Take a breath. Ask yourself, if today was it, if the doctor called you tomorrow with bad news, would you be happy that you missed the play? Would you care about the client? I hit a wall in my 40s where my body just said, enough. But you don't have to wait for the crash. You don't have to wait until you're broken to realize that someday is a lie. There is only right now. And right now, the rain is beautiful if you just stop running long enough to watch it. You know, in my 30s, I wasn't just tired from working. I was exhausted from pretending. I had this intense fear of failure that played a huge role in holding me back from being real. I thought that if I showed any weakness, or if I didn't have the right things, people would judge me. So, I put on a mask. I remember this one dinner party. It was a reunion with some guys I went to university with. Before I went, I felt this knot in my stomach. I actually went out and bought a watch I couldn't afford just for that night. Can you believe that? I was wasting my time and money on petty materialistic things just to create an image. I wanted to walk in there and have them look at my wrist and think, wow, he made it. I sat there all night, nodding, smiling, talking about growth and acquisitions. We were all doing it. It was like a room full of peacocks, just showing off feathers, but nobody was actually saying anything. I felt so lonely in that crowded room. I was consuming so much energy just to maintain this character that wasn't me. As I said before, we tend to chase happiness in all the wrong places, thinking that if we impress others, we'll feel good. But I didn't feel good. I felt heavy. It wasn't until much later, when I started to slow down and appreciate the simple things, that I realized the joke was on me. That night at the dinner party, nobody was looking at my watch. They were too busy worrying about their own watches. They were too busy worrying if I was judging them. We walk around carrying this heavy backpack of what will they think. We stay in jobs that we feel are toxic because we are afraid of losing status. We buy big houses and worry about security systems and locks, stressing ourselves out just to protect things we didn't need in the first place. We think the world is watching us with a scorecard. Here is the truth I wish I knew earlier. Nobody cares. I don't mean that in a mean way. I mean it in the most liberating way possible. People are consumed by their own lives, their own fears, and their own desire to be happy. Nobody is going to live your life for you, and nobody is going to carry your burdens for you. When I finally put that backpack down, when I stopped trying to be the successful guy and just started being the happy guy, the relief was instant. I missed so many genuine connections because I was too scared of letting fear dictate my life. I was afraid they would see the real me, the one who didn't have it all figured out. But you know what? The real connections happen when you show the cracks. So, if you are holding on to a job, a car, or even a grudge just to prove something to someone else, let it go. Don't let fear hold you back. That backpack is crushing your spine, and the people you are carrying it for aren't even watching. Travel light, man. It's the only way to enjoy the walk. If there is one lie we tell ourselves in our 20s and 30s that is more dangerous than any other, it's this: I am invincible. I remember looking in the mirror at 28. I looked fine. I had energy. I could work 14 hours, go out for drinks, sleep for 4 hours, and do it all again. I treated my body like a rental car, driving it hard, ignoring the strange noises, assuming I could just trade it in if it broke down. But you can't trade it in. In the video of my life, the crash didn't happen with an explosion. It wasn't a dramatic heart attack in a boardroom, although for some people it is. For me, it was what I call the silent burnout. It started with whispers. That's how your body talks to you before it screams. It was a tightness in my chest on Sunday nights. It was waking up tired no matter how long I slept. It was needing 3 coffees just to feel human enough to answer an email. I was drinking coffee to wake up and wine to fall asleep. A toxic cycle. My body was saying, "Hey man, slow down. We need a break." But my ego said, "Push through. You're tough. Resting is for people who don't want it bad enough. I ignored the whispers for a decade. I thought health was just something that happened to me, not something I had to actively maintain. I thought because I wasn't in a hospital bed, I was healthy. Then came the morning I couldn't get up. I don't mean I didn't want to. I mean I physically couldn't lift the blanket. It felt like gravity had doubled. The gray fog in my brain was so thick I couldn't remember my computer password. I had hit my own version of rock bottom. I went to the doctor, terrified. I thought I was dying. And in a way, the person I used to be was dying. The doctor just looked at me and said, "You are empty. You have nothing left to give." It took that moment, that terrifying moment where I felt my own mortality, to realize how stupid I had been. We spend our health to gain wealth, and then we spend our wealth to try and buy back our health. It's the worst trade in history. I had to learn to break away from the habits of my youth. I had to learn that slowing down isn't laziness. It's survival. It's maintenance. You wouldn't drive your car for 100,000 miles without changing the oil. So why do you do it to yourself? Now, I look at my friends who are still in the rush mode. They are consuming energy they don't have. They look gray. And I want to shake them. I want to tell them, listen to the whispers. If your back hurts, listen to it. If you are anxious for no reason, listen to it. If you are exhausted, sleep. It sounds so simple, so mundane, but it is the foundation of everything. Because when your health goes, when you damage a part of your body that will never recover, all that money, all that status, all those important meetings, they vanish. Don't wait for the scream. Don't wait for the ambulance. The most productive thing you can do today might just be to take a nap, go for a walk in nature, and breathe. Trust me, the work will still be there tomorrow. But if you keep running like this, you might not be. You know, back in my hustle days, I thought my net worth was directly tied to my network. I treated people like baseball cards, collecting them, categorizing them, keeping them in a Rolodex just in case I needed something. I had thousands of contacts. I had friends for drinking, friends for business, friends for squash. I thought I was loved. I thought I was popular. But here is the cold reality I faced when the silence hit. A network is not a safety net. When I was going through my burnout, I looked at that phone full of numbers. I scrolled past hundreds of names, and you know what? I couldn't call a single one of them to say, "Hey, I'm scared. I'm falling apart." They were there for the good times, for the deals, for the noise. They weren't there for me. I realized then that in my 20s and 30s, relationships were sort of up and down, mostly transactional. I was so busy building a network that I forgot to build a connection. There was this guy, let's call him Mark. We were best friends in university. Brothers, really. But about 10 years ago, we had a stupid argument. I can't even remember what it was about. Probably politics or money or something equally petty. But my ego was massive back then. I wanted to be right more than I wanted to be his friend. So, we stopped talking. For a decade, I carried that grudge. It was like a stone in my shoe. I thought I was punishing him by not calling, but I was only punishing myself. As I got older, the landscape started to change. I started getting phone calls about people passing away. Death is much more around us now than it was when we were younger. Parents, cousins, friends. Suddenly, they aren't there. And you realize that the time for "I'll apologize later" is gone. One Tuesday, just a random Tuesday, I decided to put down the heavy backpack of pride. I remembered what I learned. Don't let grudges stand in the way. It's poison. So I picked up the phone. My hands were shaking, a grown man shaking over a phone call. I dialed Mark's number. I expected him to be angry. I expected him to hang up. But he just answered and said, "It's been a long time, man." We talked for 3 hours. We laughed about things that happened 30 years ago. And let me tell you, rekindling that relationship gave me more energy than any business deal I ever closed. It was joyful. It put me in such a nice space of understanding who I was before the world told me who to be. We make excuses, you know? We say, "Oh, they probably don't want to hear from me," or "I'll do it next week." But nobody is going to push you to make that call. You have to make that step. You have to be the one to say, "Enough." Stop worrying about having 5,000 followers or a massive network. Focus on the 3 or 4 people who will actually show up when you are in the hospital. People change, people move on, and that's okay. But for the ones that matter, don't let fear or pride dictate your life. If there is someone you are thinking of right now, someone you miss, someone you hurt, or someone you just haven't spoken to because life got in the way, call them. Do it today. Because one day you'll pick up that phone and there won't be anyone on the other end to answer. So here we are. The rain has finally stopped on my porch and the sun is trying to break through the clouds. It's quiet. And for the first time in my life, the silence doesn't scare me. If the first half of our lives, our 20s and 30s, is about consuming and packing, then this second half must be about unpacking and reflecting. We spent decades shoving things into that backpack I told you about. Titles, money, grudges, worries about security systems, fears of failure. We thought the heavier the bag, the more valuable the life. But now, at this stage, the real work, the real growth, is taking those things out one by one and leaving them on the side of the road. It's funny, my friends look at my life now and say it's too quiet. They ask if I'm bored. But they don't understand that slowing down isn't stopping, it's seeing. When you aren't rushing, you notice the way the light hits the trees. You taste your coffee. You actually hear the lyrics of the song. These are the mundane things I used to ignore, but now they feel like the whole point of being alive. I've also learned to make friends with solitude. Being alone used to feel like a failure to me, like I wasn't popular enough. But now, being alone is not a bad thing. It's where the magic happens. It's where you turn inward. Whether you call it spirituality, faith, or just self-reflection, that is where you find the peace that no promotion can ever give you. But let me leave you with this final thought, and I need you to really hear this one. Life is not a movie. There are no rewinds. There are no second takes. You can't edit out the bad parts in post-production. This, right now, as you read these words, is it. I wasted so much time being angry, being scared, or being busy. Don't make my mistake. Don't waste your time on fear. If you are carrying a backpack that is too heavy, put it down. If you are holding a grudge, make the call. If you are tired, rest. You don't need permission to change your life. No one is going to push you. You have to decide right now that you are done with the noise. So, take a deep breath. Look around you. Be kind to the people you meet today because they are likely carrying a heavy backpack too. Life is short, man. It goes by in a blink. Chill, man, and enjoy the walk.